Breaking news: the war between the United States, Israel, and Iran has entered a dangerous new stage. Israel has announced what it calls the next phase, launching heavy strikes on Tehran. Explosions have been reported across the capital as its air defenses engage. At the same time, the UAE is weighing a freeze of billions in Iranian assets. That move could open a new economic front in the conflict. This war is no longer confined to the battlefield alone. Missiles, drones, and naval deployments are reshaping the regional picture. We break down what it means and what could happen next. Day 7 brings sustained bombardment and expanding fronts. Israel says targets include regime infrastructure and command nodes. Iranian missiles and drones are striking across the region in response. Lebanon is now a second front as Hezbollah fires on Israeli targets. Markets react as oil flows and shipping routes face rising risk. Global diplomacy scrambles to contain escalation. First, how this war began and why it is intensifying now. This is our special report. The conflict began with coordinated U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iranian military and government infrastructure, planned to degrade air defenses, missile launchers, and command centers. Early assessments claimed significant damage to key sites. Washington framed it as limiting Iran's capabilities. Israel emphasized a broader campaign against the regime's military apparatus. Targets included ballistic launchers, depots, and logistics hubs. Naval units joined in, enforcing sea lanes and intercepting threats. Within days, the conflict escalated beyond initial objectives. Missile volleys and drone salvos followed from both sides. Regional militaries raised alert levels and reinforced defenses. Populations near borders faced evacuations amid rising strikes. Both sides sought to replenish and reposition air defenses. Operational tempo increased as Day 7 approached. Multiple capitals felt the pressure of a growing war. Then came the announcement, a new phase of operations, and Tehran became the focus. Israel declared a shift to operations targeting regime infrastructure inside Iran. Focus: command nodes, missile facilities, logistics networks. Heavy attacks reported as the campaign expands. Flight packages timed to saturate defenses and overwhelm intercepts. Tehran experiences a wave of strikes across multiple districts. Impacts ripple miles from intended targets. Analysts describe more intense and sustained operations inside Iran. Mobility and dispersal complicate target tracking. Command and control links are prime targets. Strikes aim to deny shelter for leadership and critical assets. Logistics lines, fuel depots, and depots face repeated hits. Iranian defenses respond, but salvos keep coming. Real-time ISR feeds guide re-attack decisions. The tempo suggests prolonged, phased pressure. Collateral outages add to psychological impact, and the capital braces for more. Reports indicate some of the heaviest bombardment since the war began. Multiple strikes hit key infrastructure and military sites. Imagery shows concentrated damage at strategic compounds. Air defenses continue to fire, but saturation complicates interception. Power and communications disruptions ripple through neighborhoods. Mobility increases as command seeks to maintain control. The human toll grows with each volley. Strike waves hit in pre-dawn, midday, and evening cycles. Analysts say the aim is to degrade command cohesion. Production capacity and launch readiness are under pressure. Strikes on logistics complicate resupply and dispersal. Battle damage assessments guide follow-on sorties. The scale suggests an effort to cripple coordinated response. With each hour, the risk of further escalation rises. Emergency services strain to keep pace with demand, and the war front widens. Iran responds with missile and drone attacks across the region. Salvos target bases, infrastructure, and coastal assets. Regional defenses engage waves of incoming threats. Energy sites brace for potential hits and disruptions. Command centers coordinate intercepts and damage control. Intensity varies by sector, but frequency remains high. Trade hubs slow as alerts cascade through logistics chains. Vectors extend from Iran toward multiple theaters. Official messaging frames retaliation as deterrence. Cyber probes accompany kinetic strikes. Air travel disruptions spread with each alert cycle. Critical infrastructure shifts to heightened security. Downed systems show variety in range and payloads. Naval forces increase patrols to deter infiltration. Civilian life adapts to rolling alerts. Meanwhile, fighting spreads to Lebanon. Iranian aligned forces in Lebanon open a second front. Israel orders evacuations near the border. Rockets and anti-tank fire target military positions. Israel responds with air and artillery strikes. International monitors track the surge in engagements. Urban centers brace as the conflict intensifies. Airspace becomes crowded with intercepts and decoys. The battle space widens, complicating de-escalation. Allies raise defenses, wary of spillover. Maritime routes face expanding threat envelopes. Trade slows amid heightened security protocols. Rear area depots are struck to blunt resupply. Medical systems on both sides absorb casualties. Commercial airspace shrinks day by day. Back-channel talks attempt to cap escalation. A new front emerges: finance. The UAE is considering freezing billions in Iranian assets. Financial systems become instruments of state power. Cutting access could choke foreign currency lifelines. Trade channels through the Gulf face tighter scrutiny. Networks of companies and exchanges could be frozen. Security concerns have sharpened policy calculations. Compliance tools become frontline assets. Diplomatic fallout could be significant. The UAE is a gateway to global markets and finance. Freezing assets would disrupt billions in transactions. Liquidity constraints would strain import capacity. Measures rely on legal instruments and banking regulations. Firms with exposure brace for secondary effects. Exchanges could face immediate operational curbs. Experts say this step could transform the conflict into financial war. The financial front is now in play. Financial sanctions cut access to banking, insurance, and trade finance. Shipping lines reprice risk or avoid flagged routes. Energy markets swing as supply fears grow. Payment rails can throttle international transactions. Inventory stalls without letters of credit. War risk premiums rise for vessels and cargo. Currency pressure compounds import inflation. Reserves and swap lines become strategic shields. Supply chain breaks hit small manufacturers first. Consumers feel rapid price pressures. Trade diverts through longer, costlier pathways. Capital controls may follow if outflows spike. Companies hedge exposure and revise forecasts. Aid corridors are reassessed amid security risks. Credit spreads widen as investors demand premiums. And the world feels the shockwaves. Oil prices turn volatile on fears of Gulf disruptions. Consumers face ripple effects at the pump. Shipping routes adjust, adding time and cost. Air freight fills gaps as sea lanes face risk. Equities wobble while safe havens bid higher. High-tech supply chains weigh contingency routing. Energy planners prepare for alternative sourcing. Markets price the risk of a wider regional war. Major powers debate responses and off-ramps. Regional diplomacy seeks de-escalation mechanisms. Humanitarian access plans are drafted amid fighting. Cyber spillovers threaten financial and energy systems. Analysts model outcomes if fronts multiply. Risk maps alter travel and insurance decisions. Time zones connect in a chain of consequences. Next steps will shape the region. The coming days could determine the war's trajectory. If strikes intensify, more regional powers could be drawn in. Containment relies on air defenses and strict red lines. Diplomacy offers off-ramps if parties accept costs. Asset freezes and sanctions could broaden financial warfare. Any disruption in Hormuz would shake the global economy. Populations adapt as uncertainty persists. Analysts point to a critical decision window ahead. This war has entered a dangerous new phase on multiple fronts. Heavy strikes in Tehran and fighting in Lebanon escalate risk. The UAE considers freezing Iranian assets, shifting pressure to finance. Global markets react as energy and shipping face threats. Whether this escalates further or moves toward diplomacy remains uncertain. One thing is clear: the region enters a volatile moment in history. For continuing coverage, subscribe and enable alerts. This has been our special report.